Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com. Today we're talking about the Latin Hammer. And if you are a seasoned expat in Latin America, you might have heard the term Latin Hammer. If in case you don't know, it means that all of these issues, those hurdles, those frictions that you experience in Latin America compared to, let's say, a more developed economy, regarding, for instance, safety. Venezuela, Latin America overall is less safe compared to the US and Canada and Western Europe and such. At least, but is that situation is, the gap is closing on that regard. And also maybe some scams, the quote unquote gringo prices and such, and all of these difficulties that you have to navigate in order to be a successful expat in Latin America. And of course, you have the language barrier if you don't speak proper Spanish or Portuguese. You go to Brazil. Okay. Well, all of those bad experiences that you might encounter that you usually encounter in Latin America, how is navigated in Venezuela? So today we are discussing that. Let's start. I have to start mentioning that if you are a seasoned veteran expat here, I'm talking in Latin America overall, in Mexico, in Colombia, or Panama, whatever might be the case, here in Venezuela is not going to be that much different. It's a little bit stronger, but the difference is nothing to worry about. Actually, Venezuela has this thing that is more tricky. Navigating Venezuela is more tricky compared to the rest of Latin America. I have to agree on that. However, most of the situations can be solved if you know what you're doing here in Venezuela. Regarding safety, you can minimize your safety. I will say that Venezuela is not as insecure that most expats might believe. I will say that it's congruent with Mexico, Colombia, and most of the Latin American nations, and you can mitigate a lot the degree of risk if you know what you're doing, if you stay in a good area, in a good neighborhood, you have a certain routine, and do quite things as you should do it, you're gonna be pretty much fine on that regard. Now, gringo prices. Yes, you're gonna find that it's different from the rest of Latin America, where, for instance, you have in Mexico and Colombia and many other places, you have businesses catered towards expats, the gringos, Canadians, or Western Europeans, and such. And you're gonna find higher prices, you're gonna end up paying a premium. In Venezuela, it's not like the case, it's not quite a situation like that, because the gringo prices, quote unquote, are catered towards wealthy Venezuelans instead of, let's say, first world expats. So what happens is, if you stumble on such businesses, yeah, you might end up paying the gringo prices. That actually, those are prices for the wealthy Venezuelans, not for expats. So that's why it's important to know what you're doing here. So if you know how to navigate the market, you can pay reasonable prices and overall making the best of your budget on your expat experience in Venezuela or Latin America, whatever might be the case. After that, you have to navigate issues like transportation, red tape, bureaucracy, paperwork, and of course, after that, everything depends on what you want to accomplish in Latin America and what do you want to accomplish in Venezuela if you are already on the country. So with a good proper planning, you can not only mitigate the strength of the Latin Hammer, also can be more manageable compared to other places in Latin America. Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, you name it, you name it, you name it. So that's why Venezuela has some opportunities that you might not find as much in other places in Latin America. If you know what you're doing, if you have a good plan, a game plan, a structure, a budget before you arrive, you are gonna be pretty much fine. Of course, there's gonna be some minor issues over there that are not deal breakers. So in Venezuela, we have issues, and if you go as an expat, you're gonna see some issues as well. Still, those issues, those hurdles, those miscues that you might encounter in Venezuela are not deal breakers for the Venezuelan experience overall. You can be successful investing, you can be successful dating here if that's your main goal, retiring, purchasing a property, you name it, whatever might be your plan, your end goal here in Venezuela, with a good planning, with a good structure, knowing what you're doing, knowledge is very important, wisdom is very important. You're gonna be pretty much fine, and you don't have to worry about that much on the Latin Hammer here in Venezuela. Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.